Atmospheric rivers pound the west coast while record warmth spreads east. The groundhog saw its shadow, so with 6 weeks of winter in the cards, we have all the details and more next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. I'm meteorologist Christopher Hale. We have a lot to talk about, especially in terms of those atmospheric rivers that continue to pummel the west coast. We see that on our weather map as we begin our Monday morning. We have stream of moisture making its way through off the Pacific into northern California, bringing heavy rain and mountain snow. Across the northern plains into the Great Lakes, we have an area of snow that will continue to move east. And even in Maine, we are seeing some snow showers connected to a low pressure system just south of the Hudson Bay. Otherwise, the lower half of the United States is experiencing quiet, calm conditions as we begin our work week. So as we put our maps into motion here on our Monday, we see that snow make its way through the Great Lakes. We see continued moisture making its way onshore, bringing heavy rain and snow. And as that snow makes its way into the northeast, we could see a few inches of snow Monday night into Tuesday. But again, the big story is out west with that heavy rain. But that snow that will move through the Great Lakes into the northeast, by the time it's all said and done on Tuesday morning, we will see a widespread 1 to 3 inches through southern North Dakota and central Minnesota into central Wisconsin. Lighter amounts to the north and south of that. However, we could see slightly higher amounts across parts of central Montana, where we could see 3 to 5 inches likely. As we make our way a little bit further west through the mountainous areas of Montana, this is where we could see the more significant snowfall piling up. We could see 3 feet or 4 feet in parts of Idaho, around 2 to 3 feet around Yellowstone. Elsewhere, general 8 to 12 inches of snow is likely. And as we make our way to the Pacific Northwest, we see those heavy snows are concentrated across southern Oregon into northern California. 3-4 feet of snow is likely, even as we dip down into the Sierras down towards central California. This is through Tuesday morning, mind you. Now, a lot of the models as we look out later into the week will show continued rounds of rain and heavy snow. And so we could be talking 6, 7, 8. Some models even want to show as much as 120 inches for some locations by the time we get to next weekend. Something we are definitely going to keep our eye on, and we will bring you the latest detail as soon as it's available. But in terms of precipitation, liquid precipitation, where those rains are the heaviest, again, through southern Oregon into Idaho, a lot of that's going to be snowfall, but outside of there, you could easily see 1/2 inch to 1 inch of liquid precipitation. But as we move down into northern California, that is where we are going to see the heaviest rains through Tuesday night. Widespread 2 to 5 inches of rain are indicated by these reds and oranges. As we get into these yellows, that's in excess of 4 to 6 inches. And even these browns, we start to get to 8 to 10 inches. And this is just the first round. We will have another round that will come through later in the week. So as we begin our Tuesday, we do see, again, the atmospheric river and the snow for the west. That system that brought the snow through the upper Great Plains into the Great Lakes and Northeast, that has moved offshore by our Tuesday. We do have an area of low pressure that is centered in northern Utah that is helping to generate also some additional instability and help funnel snow showers into the mountainous regions of Idaho. Putting everything into motion, we're going to watch the continued atmospheric river out west. But then on our Wednesday, we're going to turn our eyes to the Central Plains, where we're going to see a system develop. And it's going to bring rain, heavy rain. As that system moves east, it's going to connect with some snow to the north. But then by Thursday, we see another atmospheric river impacting the west coast. And we see that snow exiting the northeast. So this is going to be our general pattern as we get into the next weekend. But we are going to keep our eye with this area of low pressure over Colorado. There is some potential that that could develop into a major winter storm by the time we get to next weekend. And with that rainfall that we are going to see across the Ohio Valley with that system that develops across Missouri and Arkansas on Wednesday, we will see widespread half-inch rain amounts through Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, into Ohio, Kentucky. Kentucky especially, we're going to be on watch for you because you're expected to receive 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is in addition to the 2 to 4 inches of rain that you saw last Friday. So flooding is going to become a concern. Another concern is severe weather. Now I know it sounds strange to be talking about severe weather in Missouri in February, but we are going to see higher than normal CAPE amounts from Missouri through Illinois into Indiana Wednesday afternoon into Thursday morning. So we're going to watch this. Not unexpected that we can't have severe weather in this part of the country, but again, it's highly unlikely, or it's unusual is a better word, to see it this far north for early February. So we're going to watch those values. They're not overly impressive, but they do bear watching. So if we put all of our maps into motion with the 500 millibar chart, we see a general zonal flow west to east. There is a slight ridging that's going to build across the Central Plains on Tuesday. This is going to provide record warmth for most of the eastern half of the United States this week. We could see several cities breaking record highs each and every day as we make our way into our Friday. The real cold is going to be across the Pacific Northwest into southern Canada, and we do start to see that make a move across the northern Great Lakes Thursday into Friday, moving into the Northeast, while another brand of potent air settles in for the Pacific Northwest on Friday. That tries to move east, but again is met with that strong ridging and warm temperatures across the eastern half of the United States. But we do start to see a breakdown in that pattern by the time we get to next weekend. And so it's something that does bear watching because there are increasing signs that there will be a pattern change of some sort by the time we get to the 10th to the 13th of February. And we talked about this in our last video on Friday, that we are starting to see signs. And I would say there's probably a growing confidence that a pattern change will take hold. But before we get to that pattern change, let's look at our temperatures for our Monday. We are going to see widespread warmth. We're going to see 80s and near 90-degree temperatures across parts of Texas. Even into Florida, you're going to see temperatures in the upper 80s. And that 80-degree warmth is going to spread through Louisiana, along the Gulf Coast, and as far north as Oklahoma City. We're going to see 60s and 70s through parts of Kansas, 60s reaching as far north as central Illinois into Indiana, but just to the north, while it may be in the low 60s in far southwestern or far southeastern Wyoming, just a few miles north in the same state really, we're going to see temperatures in the single digits. So we have a tight temperature gradient here across parts of the upper Midwest, where we even will see sub-zero temperatures across parts of Montana. Just a reminder that winter is not over. The groundhog saw his shadow, so we do believe that we will see 6 more weeks of winter coming up for the United States, and there are signs of it in the coming days. In fact, by the time we get to Tuesday, that warmth does subside just a little bit further south. So instead of 60s and 70s across Kansas, we're going to see temperatures in the low 40s. Nebraska, you're going to be below freezing. Those 80s, those mid to upper 80s are going to be suppressed into far southern Texas, far southern Florida, where we're going to see more 50s and 60s across parts of Oklahoma through the Tennessee Valley. In the Northeast, we're seeing cold conditions, teens and 20s, as well across the northern plains, where we're going to see widespread single-digit high temperatures for our Tuesday. And I mentioned that we're going to start to see this pattern change, and we see signs of it around the 10th and the 13th. And the Climate Prediction Center agrees with us here. And this is their latest 8 to 14-day outlook. And so we're going to see most of the country expected to experience below normal temperatures during this time frame. The real exception is being across Georgia, Alabama, Florida, the Carolinas. Those areas will see above normal temperatures. but we are going to see the cold air on the move once again. We're going to see some ridging across the Gulf of Alaska that's going to dislodge a part of the Arctic air down into the lower 48. And we saw this pattern happen a little bit as we ended 2024. December, right before Christmas, was very warm for the eastern half of the United States. And then we saw a pattern change right around New Year's Eve, and we saw a lobe of the Arctic air get dislodged and come into the lower 48. And that's what we're kind of seeing somewhere again around the 10th to the 13th of the month. Where it exactly will happen, when it will happen, those are details that we're still ironing out. But we are having, again, a growing confidence that the pattern is going to change by the time we get to that second week of February. In terms of precipitation, we are also seeing above normal chances of precipitation for most of the United States. So with that cold air moving in and above normal chances of precipitation, we are setting up the possibility of several rounds of heavy snow and significant winter events. And where we are seeing them likely right now is anywhere from Nebraska down through Oklahoma, through the Tennessee and Ohio valleys into the Northeast. And we're seeing them about at intervals of every 3 to 4 days. That's the area we are watching, where we see the cold air in place, where we see the storm track setting up. And so as we get closer and as the model days continue to run on, we will bring you the latest information. If we start to see some agreement, or if the Climate Prediction Center issues a heavy snow risk advisory, which they did for the January 5 storm and for the southern storms, we will bring the latest to you here at the Weather Farm. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, if you have anything you would like to see, please leave them for us. Please like, subscribe, share, click that bell notification icon so you can be alerted of the latest information. And we hope you have a great Monday.